I've had a few patients ask me questions lately that made me want to explain something. And this has to do with the lockdown versus not lockdown versus open up versus don't open up. So I just want to give it some perspective. Initially, all of these lockdown procedures were so that we didn't overwhelm the medical system. We didn't want, we don't want anybody to die, obviously, but we didn't want people to die for lack of care. We didn't want people to die because we had to ration care. We didn't have enough beds, we didn't have enough medications, we didn't have enough ventilators, we didn't have enough practitioners. We didn't want that to be the case. So the idea was, that's where all it's kind of a marketing term, flatten the curve, right? That's where all that came from. You saw that initial curve and then the flatter curve. Like, let's take all the people under that curve, and instead of having them get the disease within a short period of time, let's have them get the disease spread out over more weeks. It's the same number of people, it's just spread out over more weeks. And that way, they have time to work through the medical community or the medical system, and they don't overwhelm that system. And that way, the only people that die are people that truly could not handle the disease. It's not for lack of care. So that was the idea, and that's where we started. And I think there's an argument to be made for that, right? So we did that. Now, what it's morphed into is we don't want anybody to get the disease. Like, nobody wants to catch it. And so now it's stay at home so you don't catch it. Stay at home so you don't catch it. Wear your mask so you don't catch it. Don't get your hair cut so you don't catch it. Don't go to work so you don't catch it or spread it. What I think we've lost sight of is we've known all along most of us need to get this. The healthy people in society need to get this. The people that aren't dying from it need to get it. Kids, school-age kids, generally healthy people that don't have diabetes, that don't have heart disease, that don't have a lot of medications that they're taking. They don't have vitamin D deficiencies. They're generally healthy. They're well nourished. They take care of themselves. Those are the people that need to go out and get this and develop antibodies to this. Now, in many cases, these people don't even know they've had it. I've had patients, last one I had was, maybe a month ago, something like that, went into the hospital for something completely unrelated, no symptoms of this whatsoever. They happened to do the nasal swab on her and said, hey, you're positive. Did whatever else they were going to do in there. She never showed any signs of it. They turned her loose, said, go back to work, everything's fine. But she got it. Never felt it, but now she has antibodies, right? We need a lot of those people out in public to protect the vulnerable. Now, a lot of you have seen the meme, right, where you have all the matchsticks in the book, and you have this lit match coming up toward it, and you know if you light that first one, it's just gonna light all the rest, like dominoes falling. And what they show in that graphic is they pull one of those matches out of the book, and now presumably it hits this match and stops and doesn't catch all the rest. And they say that's why we stay home, right? Be that person that doesn't spread it. But what we need to realize is that match being pulled out of the matchbook could be someone who's already had it. They've got the antibodies, so they don't catch it and pass it on, right? What we need is 60, 70, 80% of the population to be the person that's already had it. Then, if it runs around the world again, comes back for a second round, it's not wildfire. You have some isolated cases, the hospitals can handle it. We know a lot more about how to treat it now than we did when this first started. I mean, there are some arguments out there that it was definitely mishandled on a patient-by-patient basis when it first started. We had never seen it before. We didn't know what to do with it. I mean, it's kind of like the old SARS, but now we understand it better. We have some treatment options for it. We have the ability to question the use of ventilators in certain cases. So we know a lot more about it now. I think doctors are better treating it, and we've had a period of time to get ourselves healthy enough that we're either less likely to get it or really less likely to be sick. Let me put it that way. Because being really healthy doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to catch it, but it means you're not going to suffer from it, right? That's the big difference. So we want a population that is capable of getting it and not suffering from it. That's really the key. So my point here is, we started out with flatten the curve. Don't overwhelm the medical system. What we've morphed into somehow is, oh my gosh, don't let anybody catch this. Wrong. We need to catch it. Healthy people need to go out there and get this. Vulnerable people need to stay away, right? Keep the grandparents at home. Keep the overweight diabetic after his first heart attack at home. Put a mask on him or something. Keep them safe. But let the kids go get it. Let the healthy people go out and get it. Let them go to the grocery store. Let them go to Walmart. Let them go get their hair cut. Let them go get massages. Let them live life. Let the kids play sports. Will they get it? Yeah, some of them will. Will they die from it? Generally no. Right? Protect the ones that are at highest risk of dying. Right? We don't want them to die. But we don't want to run into this next season where half the population still hasn't gotten it and we're doing the exact same thing all over again. Don't lose sight of the goal. The end goal is herd immunity, to get a large pool of immune-educated patients, right? People that have seen this before. Their immune system has seen it before. So when they see it again, they say, I got you. Here are the antibodies. Knock it out. Get back to work, right? That's what we want, is a society full of those people. And that way it doesn't spread like wildfire. We don't overwhelm the system. Vulnerable people can survive this better because they get better medical care. So let's look at it this way. If we've got from now until the fall to get ready for the next round, like if we knew another round was coming, right? Everybody can guess. But if we knew another round was coming, what would you do between now and then? What I would do, get my own house in order, right? I did another video on that. Take care of yourself. Get healthy. Stock up on what you need, right? If you take over-the-counter medications for congestion and stuff, make sure you have some of them. If you take vitamins and supplements and herb, make sure you have some of them, right? So get ready for that. Get your blood sugar under control. Start exercising. Eat good food. Go to your doctor and get your nutrients checked. Make sure your magnesium's good. Make sure that your body is functioning the way it's supposed to. And if you can get it now, without much of an issue, go do it. I'm not saying go find somebody and, get it on purpose. But get out there and live your life. Right? That has the side benefit of getting the economy going again, because that's also going to kill a lot of people. But what it does is it builds up the herd immunity in our population. We don't have to have a vaccine for that. We have to have healthy people getting out and getting this, and getting through it and getting on with it. Now, have millions of people already contracted this and gotten through it and got on with it? Yes. I think there's evidence that that's happened. They've done tests where they've grabbed chunks of populations and tested in mass. Like, we're just going to walk out on the street and test 3,000 people. How many of them have been exposed and have antibodies? They've been shocked at how prevalent this is, at what percentage of the people they tested actually have already had it. Their immune system is already savvy to this. That's what we need if we want the next round to be no big deal, right? It's always a big deal if someone in your family is vulnerable and catches it. I mean, I don't want to sound cold-hearted, but if we back up and look at it from a statistical standpoint, it doesn't have to kill millions of people. It doesn't have to kill hundreds of thousands or even tens of thousands of people. Get the population immune as much as possible, just like you would with a vaccine. I mean, they're pushing this vaccine as the answer, as the end-all be-all answer. But why? Okay, not getting into that why. But because in theory, that vaccine would create a population of people who already have antibodies. And that negates the severity of all of this. We can already do that by letting our healthy people interact with other healthy people and build up a large pool of immune-savvy people. That also means that you have a large pool of people to pull from to take antibodies out of the serum of their blood and give it to the people that can't handle this. They have a pretty good track record so far with taking antibodies from serum of recovered patients and giving it to patients who are struggling with this, and the antibodies in that serum help these people over the hump and they recover. So just remember, the whole reason we did this lockdown, the whole reason we did flatten the curve, was not to keep people from getting it, but but to spread out that length of time. In Texas and in most of the country, there are a few pockets that are exceptions. I'm well aware of that. But in most of the country, we did not overwhelm the medical system. In fact, quite the opposite. We've underwhelmed them. They're going broke. They're furloughing nurses. They're laying people off. They've got whole floors of the hospital that are empty at this point. Nobody wants to go to the hospital because they know they're going to be sequestered there alone. They're not going to be able to have their family with them. It's a scary, lonely thing at this point, right? So nobody wants to go. How many people are dying because they're afraid to go to the hospital? We'll never know. But that's a problem. They stopped elective surgeries. So the hospitals basically just emptied out, and they were waiting for tens of thousands of COVID patients that never materialized, right? We flattened the curve. That's great. We have tons of capacity. That's why people are saying we need to open up society. It's not just to make money. They're not necessarily putting profits over people or whatever marketing term you want to use. Many of them understand this still has to run through us as a population, or we're going to be doing this all over again in a few months. Right? I don't want to do this all over again. We did it once, rip the Band-Aid off, let's get on with it. But that's partly why we need to get out there. The healthy people need to go out, run the economy, live our lives, get things opened up again. Bunch of us will get it. Most of us will get over it. Most of us won't even know we've had it. And then the next time it comes around, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I just wanted to remind you why we did all this in the first place. It's not so that you never get it. It's not so that your school-age child never gets it. You can't protect them like that. They will eventually come in contact with it. If they do it when the medical system is not overwhelmed, they should be fine, with a few exceptions. There are people with pre-existing conditions. They should be concerned. They should be sequestering. They should be masking. They should be, all of that. The rest of us, it's been very slow. Go out there, live your life. If you get it, you get it, and you get on with it. You may have already had it and you don't know it. So don't let that fear turn into, oh my gosh, if I get this, I'm going to die. I can't go outside. We've got to stay closed forever. 6 more weeks, 8 more weeks, 10 more weeks. At some point, we all have to get it. Now, would they rather us all get it from a vaccine? Sure. They're selling a vaccine, right? If you take them at their word that the vaccines are just as good as natural immunity, right? And this is not what I'm discussing here. But if that works that way, then what difference does it make whether you get it now or you get it with the vaccine? You've been exposed to it either way. You build antibodies either way. If you're a strong, healthy, vibrant person, don't worry about it. Okay, it's not a popular opinion, but that's my opinion. May not be right for you. You may be vulnerable. I'm just saying, remember why we did this in the first place. Remember why we locked down. Flatten the curve was not about don't get it. Flatten the curve was get it more slowly over a period of time. Don't everybody get it at once. We still all have to get it. That's the goal. All right. Okay. So that's it. Let the hate mail begin. I know I'm going to get it, but couldn't help myself, had to say it. If you have questions about getting yourself healthy enough that you are less vulnerable to this, go back and watch one of my previous videos because I talked about it not too long ago. All right. Not telling you how to treat it. Just saying that if you are really healthy, you're a lot less vulnerable. That's the key. All right. Talk to you soon.